I never expected the exodus to start this early. People are heading back to their hometowns over 3 months before the Chinese New Year, which is unheard of. What's going on? Who are these people? First, there are migrant workers who can't find jobs in the cities anymore, so they're heading back early. Then there are middle-aged, high-salaried white-collar workers who've been laid off and replaced by cheaper college graduates. They have no other choice but to return home. Third, there are those who gambled on starting businesses post-pandemic, especially in the low-threshold catering industry. After facing the, quote, 3-month curse of business failure, losing their capital and incurring debts, they're forced to go back home. Fourth, there are middle-aged folks who struck gold early with real estate investments but can't keep up with the fast pace of the new era. They're selling their city properties and moving back to smaller hometowns with their millions. It's a wake-up call. The real economy isn't reviving, it's getting tougher. Should we stay in the big cities fighting a losing battle or head back to our hometowns?
In November of previous years, many businesses experienced their peak production season. This was especially true for the foreign trade industry, which was particularly busy fulfilling a large volume of export orders ahead of Christmas. However, this year presents a stark contrast. Due to an excess of stock and a decrease in orders, a significant number of factories in China have reduced production, ceased operations, or even shut down. With over 3 months remaining until the Chinese New Year, a trend of returning to hometowns has already emerged in major cities. Additionally, social media platforms in mainland China, such as Weibo and Douyin, are continually broadcasting notifications from companies unexpectedly requesting their employees to take holidays. On November 1st, Jiangxi Nansu Packaging Company Limited issued a notice to all staff, stating that due to severe inventory buildup, the company has decided to start the holiday season earlier this year. The drawing workshop staff were to begin their holiday on November 3rd, followed by the circular weaving workshop staff after they finished the remaining threads. The preliminary date for resumption of work was set for February 27, 2024, the 18th day of the first lunar month, with a specific date to be announced later. A clothing factory in Guangdong also informed that the entire factory would be on holiday from November 5th, with a reopening date yet to be determined. Apparently, wool sweaters aren't selling well this year. Usually, November and December are peak periods for wool sweater companies, but this year they're shutting down months before the holiday season. Some factories are even cleaning their machines already. It's been a tough year. Typically, November and December are the busiest months for textile enterprises, but this year is different. The significant loss of orders from previous major European and American clients has left factories without work, forcing them to start their annual holidays early. Kunshan, Jiangsu is one of China's important manufacturing bases and hosts many foreign businesses. Currently, many of these factories also face the dilemma of having no orders, compelling them to give workers an early holiday. With less than 100 days until the Spring Festival, while you're still working hard, others have already started their holidays. Today, a client from Lu's family came to me for a loan. He told me their factory has already begun the holiday. The company, citing reduced orders, decided to put everyone on standby from November 1st to February 29th next year, paying the minimum wage of 2,280 yuan as per Kunshan County standard. At first glance, it seems like a considerate employer, paying even when there's no work. But think about it, would a business really operate at a loss? If employees don't return to work promptly after the standby period, they're considered to have resigned, forfeiting any severance pay. This arrangement cleverly lowers their annual salary for the year, a critical factor when claiming compensation if the company goes bankrupt. Many small factories in Kunshan operate this way. Workers with 10 or 20 years of service stay on, hoping for a substantial severance package if the company goes under. The companies, too, are reluctant to shut down and are just hanging on. In such tough times, surviving is what matters most. This is the urban village in Huangpu District, Guangzhou, surrounded by factories, electronics, medical equipment, automotive parts. Many factories here used to actively recruit workers, but now hardly any are hiring. Several labor agencies opened nearby but are now closing down due to lack of demand. Many factories are laying off workers in dozens, and another obvious sign is the widespread demolitions that started a few years ago in the urban village, causing rents to skyrocket. But even with high rents, it was hard to find a place. Not anymore. Lots of houses are vacant now, indicating many migrant workers have left. Some factories are still struggling, and if there are no orders by 2024, more people will leave. Guangdong isn't as glorious as it was a decade ago. The slump is not limited to foreign trade factories. The entire economy is depressed. Various industries are struggling, with construction and service activity slowing down, leading to many factories and companies starting their annual holidays earlier than usual. Due to the continuous downturn in real estate, large real estate companies like Evergrande and Country Garden are facing financial crises, resulting in the suspension of many construction sites. A large number of construction workers are unemployed and have had to return home early.
Why are migrant workers returning home now? First, many construction sites no longer want workers over 60. Older workers just can't find jobs. Second, workers aren't getting paid. Some have been out for half a year and only receive 2,000 yuan for living expenses. Third, due to funding shortages, many sites have stopped work and it's expensive to stay on site with no income, so they're heading home early.
The building materials industry is similarly affected. 2 building material factories in Foshan, Guangdong have issued notices for early holidays. One extreme example is the Golden World Innovation Aluminum Company in Foshan, Guangdong. On November 8th, they announced a holiday notice starting from November 9th, extending an unusually long break until April 2, 2024, almost 5 months. The notice stated that due to this year's reduced demand, overcapacity, and slim profits, which have become commonplace for the company, this holiday decision was made considering the company's actual situation. Yashing Steel Plant, a private enterprise in Henan, also announced that it would cease all production for scheduled maintenance works from November 1st, arranging for employees to take holidays, tentatively until February 17th of the next year. An employee of a steel company in Tangshan, Hebei, in an interview with Radio Free Asia, stated that overcapacity led to the steel plant's closure. The government has been pressing not to overproduce in steel plants, but it's uncontrollable, leading to overcapacity. Secondly, the market demand is insufficient because the overall economy is not great. Nobody buys steel, it cannot be sold. As a result, many steel plants have successively reduced prices, causing many of them to incur losses. The cost of raw materials has not decreased, so profits are gone, leading to losses. Currently, 85% of steel plants are operating at a loss. Only 15% are profitable. What to do with losing money? Just stop production. There's also a video from a worker in Zhejiang stating, "It's too hard to work in Zhejiang. Many factories have no businesses. They started to give holidays." Moreover, there are rumors that many companies are already unable to sustain operations and have consequently shut down. On October 20th, Tiger Bond Hardware, a well-known Hong Kong-funded enterprise located in Chang'an, Dongguan, announced, "In recent years, the company has suffered severe losses, struggled to survive, and found it impossible to continue. The company's top management, after careful evaluation, has been unable to turn around the situation. The company's founder, Mr. Cai, invested 20 million yuan in the company in 1992, spanning 31 years. In the first 20 years, the factory was well managed, orderly in production, and abundant in orders, ranking among the top old factories in the Pearl River Delta. However, with the changes in the manufacturing industry in the Pearl River Delta, Tiger Bond had no choice but to shut down. It is said that after the factory closes, the owner plans to invest in Vietnam. The factory is currently handling the compensation for departing employees in batches. Although it has incurred serious losses in the past 2 years, the factory owner has promised to provide corresponding compensation to the employees strictly according to labor laws." Dongguan, once heralded as the world's factory, has seen its days of glory fade away. Shortly after Tiger Bond Hardware announced its closure, 2 more factories in Dongguan declared that they could no longer sustain operations. On November 6, Dongguan Xiaomi Industrial Company Limited, which had been in business for 31 years, also announced its dissolution. The company stated in its closure notice that due to years of severe operational losses and accumulating debts, it decided to shut down. Xiaomi Industrial was a large-scale comprehensive packaging enterprise, producing various types of plastic bags, composite bags, and food bags. The following day, on November 7th, Dongguan Xiaotou Dongxing Electrical Appliances also issued a notice stating that by December 31st, it would completely shut down its molding factory, which had been operational for over a decade. The announcement mentioned that due to the impact of the pandemic, orders for the molding factory had sharply decreased since early 2021, and it had been operating at a loss since then. Dongxing Electrical Appliances, a Hong Kong-funded enterprise established in 2011, primarily manufactures and contracts out electrical products such as socket connectors, plugs, LCD panels, and other electronics. Factory closures mean massive job losses, but workers in these foreign and Hong Kong-funded enterprises are somewhat fortunate, as they generally receive generous compensation in accordance with labor laws when these companies close down. However, workers in many Chinese-funded enterprises are not as lucky. Not only do they not receive compensation, but they also often face wage arrears. For instance, Nanyang City in Henan Province is a significant textile industry hub with 1,974 registered textile and clothing enterprises. Hshinga Textile Company, a leading cotton spinning enterprise, applied for restructuring in July this year due to its inability to clear its debts. This listed company, a state-owned enterprise, had already been reported to have owed wages for 7 months last year. Mr. Yu, a resident of Hshinga County, Nanyang City, said in an interview, "Hshinga County is a famous textile town. All textile factories here have been closed, and people have gone to work in the south or in the Jiangsu, Zhejiang, or Shanghai region." He also mentioned that mainland residents welcome foreign-funded enterprises because they raise local wage standards. More importantly, foreign enterprises do not delay wages, whereas domestic enterprises, often colluding with officials, disregard the law and frequently delay wages. Since October, the catering industry has witnessed a widespread wave of closures, becoming a hotbed for wage arrears. Many restaurant owners, having lost their initial investments, are unable to pay their employees, leaving them in a difficult position. On November 7th, a well-known restaurant in Changsha suddenly closed down, leaving more than 50 employees with unpaid wages. "I'm owed over 4,000 yuan. Me too, over 4,000 yuan. I'm owed over 5,000 yuan, a whole month's salary." With the bleak economic outlook, it has become challenging to run any business successfully. A business owner in Guangdong, after consecutive failures in 3 different industries, not only lost his initial investment, but also accumulated a significant amount of debt, leaving him in deep regret.
I tried my hand at running a factory and it failed, then a physical store and it failed too. My friends said there's money in catering, so I jumped into it and that failed as well. Now I'm in debt of more than 2.9 million yuan. It's 2 a.m. now. I've paid off all my workers' salaries and had 2 boxes of beer. I can't face going home. I used to think I was something big, but now I realize I'm less than nothing.
Amid the economic downturn, it's not just businesses that are struggling. Government agencies and public institutions in China are also facing dire financial challenges. A video circulating online shows hundreds of Transportation Bureau employees gathering for 2 consecutive days, November 6th and 7th, in front of the Jizhou District Transportation Bureau in Tianjin, demanding payment of wages that have been owed for 9 months. Netizens commented that the transportation system, one of the sectors where corruption was rampant, especially in Tianjin, has been unable to pay wages for 9 months. Working in the Transportation Bureau, a Communist Party administrative unit, was once considered a golden rice bowl job, a stable position with good benefits and easy work. Not only the Tianjin Transportation Bureau, but also civil servants in Jiangsu, a province known for high tax revenue, are facing difficulties in receiving salaries, prompting the government to encourage them to start their own businesses. According to a report by Radio Free Asia on November 8th, 14 government departments in Jiangsu province jointly decided to implement an action to promote key group entrepreneurship. They encourage professionals in institutions like colleges and research institutes to leave their jobs to start businesses while retaining their public servant status for 3 years. This was seen as a tactic to reduce the financial burden on the government. China's economy, after a brief recovery, has started to show signs of sluggish growth this year. The export sector, in particular, has seen a decline over several months. Data released by the General Administration of Customs of China on November 7th showed that China's exports in October fell by 6.4% year-on-year, more than market expectations. This marks the 6th consecutive month of decline for Chinese exports, historically a major engine for economic growth, directly impacting employment. The data reveals that the decline in exports in October, down 6.2% from September, has further deepened. Apart from a brief rebound in March and April, China's exports have been decreasing since October last year. Some foreign trade enterprises have been on holiday for a few months due to a lack of orders. For example, a factory in Dongguan, Guangdong, initially closed until the end of August this year. However, due to a continued lack of orders, the factory decided to extend the holiday from September 1st, 2023 to the end of February 2024, continuing to pay Social Security and basic living expenses for its employees during this period. This shows that some businesses are still incurring losses while struggling to survive. In a factory in Longhua, Shenzhen, as captured in this video, due to a lack of orders, 2 production lines have stopped. Some workers were reassigned to other departments, while others were given holidays. It has been a long time since there has been any work to do. Initially, a production line would have around 40 to 50 people, but now combining 2 to 3 lines, there are only about a dozen people left, including management. The factory has rented out its offices to others. Previously, the entire floor was occupied by their company, but now only half remains. Over the past few years, many large and small factories in Shenzhen have either closed, relocated, or downsized. The number of factories in Shenzhen is decreasing, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to operate. In light of these challenges facing Chinese enterprises, the Chinese Communist government should reflect deeply: why is the economy in such a poor state? Have they recognized the flaws in their policies? Recent official international balance of payments data from China shows that during the third quarter, there was a deficit of $11.8 billion in foreign direct investment, FDI. This is the first time since 1998, when the country's foreign exchange regulatory agency began compiling this data, that China has seen a quarterly deficit. Analysts believe this may be related to Western countries adopting de-risking measures against China amidst escalating geopolitical tensions. The external perception is that China's economy is not improving as the authorities claim, but deteriorating. Investment, consumption, and imports and exports, the three main drivers of the economy, are almost completely stalled. With exports declining rapidly, the continuous outbreak of the real estate debt crisis in China, and astronomical amounts of debt, consumers lack confidence and are reluctant to spend. Therefore, the situation is expected to worsen and enter a vicious cycle, leading to an even gloomier outlook for China's economy.